The province of Gauteng has launched a municipal economic review and outlook report. It's a data-driven blueprint and it aims to reshape service delivery, hold those who are in charge to account, and economic development across all municipalities. It was unveiled at the JSC by MEC Lebogang Maile, and the report is a joint effort with global firm Ernst Young. But what is it aiming to do, and what will it actually change? Let's talk about it with Owen, Witbooi, who's the Deputy Director for Municipal Financial Management at Gauteng Treasury. Owen, good evening to you and welcome to the program. Really do appreciate it. So now you have this Miro report. What special features or blind spots is this report aiming to correct?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and good evening to your listeners. Yes, certainly, as you have alluded, we have launched the inaugural Gauteng Municipal Economic Review and Outlook report. And basically what this report is intended to do is to acknowledge the space that local government plays within the economy. You look at Gauteng, it's got a municipal annual spend of just over 200 billion. And certainly we believe there are certain sectors within the economy that we believe that local government can give a better response to, and also in terms of its budgeting, its planning, can also contribute as a space within the economy. And in particular, Gauteng has got a huge municipal expenditure outlay, and we certainly believe if we allow and enter into the data and more accurate data and make that available to municipalities, it can certainly assist those in policy making.
Okay, so I'll come back to the detail of it and the purpose of it in just a moment. But you have you've partnered with Ernst Young for this particular report. Can you tell us how much this Miro study has cost the province?
Certainly, this Miro study hasn't cost the province more than R1 million. And also, when you look at the quality of the data, you look at the extent of what has gone into the process. Certainly, you can certainly evaluate this study in comparison to many other studies that would have actually cost the province or even other spheres of government less money. And we've certainly not spent a significant amount of resources in availing this product to municipalities.
So you talk about data-driven decision-making. So how will you see to it that this data doesn't just sit on shelves? So can you share with our viewers real mechanisms in place that will translate these Miro findings into tangible service delivery improvements where we all live across the province of Gauteng?
No, thank you. I think that's a very important question. As a provincial treasury, the role of the MEC for Finance have a particular oversight role, and we look and we have a responsibility to annually comment on the formulation of municipal budgets. And municipalities in those budgets give an indication to the citizenry in terms of what it's going to do with its annual budget. And certainly from where we are sitting, we have a formal responsibility in terms of the law to comment on that. And we are going to include a segment in that analysis that will be shared with municipalities during the budget compilation process of the municipalities. And certainly there's an obligation on the mayor, on council, on the management to consider those findings of the provincial treasury. And I certainly wouldn't want to call it findings. We certainly believe it's a value add to the ability to municipalities to improve their planning and budgeting going forward.
You know, Owen, I hear you say that it's not more than R1 million. By the way, do you have a more specific number for us as to the price tag of this?
991 million.
Okay.
Yeah. 991,000. Sorry, apologies about that.
I was about to lean back in my chair there for a moment. Okay.
I know.
All right. And, because of the large amounts of money being spent on things we never see the benefit on, R1 million just seems like a drop in the ocean. And as you say, comparative to other consultations and whatever, this seems like a bargain that you got. But what you're doing is providing another layer of data, another accounting or framework of accountability tool, when we already have, Owen, in the Auditor General's reports, whether, when municipalities get qualified audits, and I think there are 3 in the province of Gauteng that fall short. I think it's Tshwane, Merafong, and Mfuleni that are among, poorly performing municipalities for one reason or another. And there is in that report reasons for why it is so, or reasons why their financial mechanisms, aren't up to standard and are subpar. And we see every single year these municipalities not being able to do the work that the AG said at fundamental level to be able to turn things around. How is more information going to make them better at their jobs?
I think one of the things that I want to point out about the Miro was subjected to a formal procurement process. And certainly that is a cornerstone of how we, procure and spend our financing as a provincial treasury and provincial government. I think that's important to state. The other element that I want to indicate is we have a responsibility to scale and to uplift the quality of the assessments, the quality of the advice that we give to our municipalities. And certainly the Miro is an instrument in doing that. We certainly value the Auditor General's report, and also the Auditor General's report is also what is guiding, the extent and where we are taking our analysis as a provincial treasury. And we certainly believe that, the kind of tool that we are putting out here is cutting edge. It gives an opportunity to municipalities to see where in their economies, particular infrastructure, unemployment, economic opportunities. And this report is starting to point pointedly at those areas where municipalities can capitalize on as they plan for the next financial year.
All right, so tell me about the conversation with Mfuleni municipality and, the people in charge of making sure service delivery happens out of this report. Take us into the room. What does that conversation look like?
So with Mfuleni, as like any other municipality, this time of the municipal financial year, we have what we call a municipal budget benchmark engagement. And certainly in that engagement is where we are focusing on issues related to infrastructure management, the operating budget of the municipality. And certainly we have not stopped there. We've given and are providing technical support to Mfuleni municipality. We certainly acknowledge that Mfuleni has got its fair share of challenges. The province have intervened, and Mfuleni have actually gotten a write-off of the electricity debt, almost to the tune of 2 billion rand, as a result of the intervention of the province with the National Treasury and Eskom. So certainly there are strides being made in Mfuleni, but we acknowledge, that this is
okay, Owen, let
work
me come in there. Let me come in there because I think I need to sharpen the question. I'm saying we've spent the money on this, which is meant to almost provide pinpoint data on what has gone wrong in a place like Mfuleni and offers a turnaround opportunity. Do these 3 things and you'll be better off in these 3 areas. And I know that I'm oversimplifying that, but I think you get the point. So that's what I'm trying to aim at is how does this directly benefit a problem child like the Mfuleni municipality?
I think what we must acknowledge is that the size of Mfuleni's budget is about 6 billion rand. We have spent less than 1 million rand to the benefit of 11 municipalities. So if you equate Mfuleni out of that composition of the support that we're giving is quite insignificant. And I think the reality on the ground is there are a lot of support that is going into Mfuleni, and we are not saying that there isn't a challenge in Mfuleni. We certainly are trying to assist the municipality and work with the municipality, but it's certainly not going to be solved overnight. But the reality is there is support coming from the province to support Mfuleni municipality.
I mean, I'm trying to lean into the purpose, right? The purpose for why this study was done at a bargain, as you say. It is designed to help communities, municipalities that are struggling so that they can turn around and so that there can be service delivery, water from taps, roads that you can travel on, infrastructures built and looked after. And I'm not really hearing that from you. And I'm not sure if my questions are deficient, but it's an example of a place that you'd want to see the impact of such a report like Miro. I mean, I know that there are others and I know that the scale of the problem there is large, but that's what it's intended for. Am I wrong?
Look, I think what is important, we are pinpointing at a detailed report that's over 1,000 pages in terms of the volume of the report. And I think what is important is that you need to go and look in the Mfuleni report in terms of what is it that we are actually focusing on. In fact, when you, if you were in the room and you would have heard what Ernst Young was saying, is that there is green shoots in the Sedibeng region and those adjacent municipalities in terms of the economy and how they are going to leverage off each other going forward. So there is certainly opportunity, and I certainly do think that one would also need to start looking at the positives. And certainly there are efforts being made by the province to support Mfuleni municipality.
Yeah, again, Owen, I mean, I'm not making the connection. Maybe our viewers are smarter than me. I'm not making the connection between, here's a diagnostic and here's a place that's deeply problematic. Do these three things, for example, to simplify, and there's going to be a turnaround. So let me just move away from that now. Gauteng municipalities, Owen, have faced accusations of mismanagement and corruption. What confidence did you have that the insights in this report will be implemented by the very structures that are often blamed for the province's developmental failures?
Look, in a municipality, you have obviously the council, which is the highest decision-making body in the municipality, but you also have the municipal public accounts committees, and many of them would have now issued their oversight report on the performance as presented in the annual reports. And certainly that findings is now finding expression through our municipal councils. In fact, last week, I hosted a municipal CFO forum where the CFOs were giving us an indication in terms of what's being done with the Auditor General's findings and what the council is actually doing in terms of the audit findings on matters such as unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. So certainly there are strides being made. And as I've indicated, there's always room for improvement. And that's why as a province, we are putting out these instruments to try and assist our municipalities in terms of the quality of the decisions that they make going forward.
So this report, we understand, also outlines socioeconomic trends like unemployment, poverty and crime, and we know that these are part of the daily lived experience of all residents across the province. How does this report change outcomes for ordinary residents who are really battling with power outages, poor housing and joblessness?
Look, from where we are sitting, certainly we want to assist municipalities in terms of the decisions that they make in the compilation of the budgets, the integrated development plans, and certainly the responsibility vests with municipal councils and the management of the municipality to ensure that service delivery is achieved on the ground. And certainly where municipalities are not doing this, we as a province will intervene in those municipalities. I mean, you look at, you focus on Mfuleni. I think one of the other positives that the media needs to know about is, for example, West Rand District Municipality that have qualified out of the intervention. And that's certainly notable, and also following support that have been given by the provincial government. So there are many other areas where we are seeing improvements as a result of the work that we are doing with our municipalities.
And that work, excludes MIRA, right? I mean, this is before this report was made available. So
yeah, the MIRA only came out today.
Well, that's the point I'm making, is that you can do it without having commissioned a report like this. However, before I let you go, the report feeds into national data sets. We understand, Owen, like the SARS spatial tax data set. I think the question is there a risk that this becomes an academic exercise unless the private sector, government, civil society, and we've heard this so many times, collaborate and are truly aligned? So what are you doing to prevent this report from becoming just another glossy report but has no bite?
Certainly not. As I've indicated, it's going to form part of our regulatory reports that we issue to our municipalities. And certainly from where we're sitting, there's a fiduciary responsibility on a municipal manager, a chief financial officer, and council to give action to these regulatory reports that we are going to issue to our municipalities. And we certainly are going to hold them accountable also within our intergovernmental relation structures when they report back to the province.
Owen Witbooi is the Deputy Director for Municipal Financial Management at the Gauteng Treasury. Thank you very much for your time this evening. We do appreciate it.